So the property is pretty big. It's more than I can handle. It's probably more than I will ever be able to develop during my time on this earth. Basically, it ends, it's very difficult to see, but in that far tree line over there is about the edge of my property. And down along that tree line down there, and down to the back, right about there. And all of this land over here as well. It was cut off around 10 to 15 years ago, which is kind of works in my benefit, because then I got full control over what grows where. However, you see these young trees here growing up now, these got to be all thinned out. That's a task in itself. We'll see if I get to it, but I can make trails. My goal is to make some trails to be able to get from, say, that corner of the property to that corner of the property without too much effort. That's my first goal for this year, maybe next year. And then work on thinning some of the trees out so that some of the stronger trees end up becoming dominant trees, and the forest just rejuvenates itself. And when you come down here, we've got these old spruce trees, which I find fascinating, because these were probably here when my grandfather was working these lands, and probably further back than him as well. I would imagine that this tree is probably over 100 years old. I don't know. I'm just making a guess here. And some other ones in the back. That's pretty awesome. This area over here is the area that was used for agriculture up until the 70s or so. So I've got one hole here for some trees I'm getting, probably an elderberry bush. Gonna do another apple tree over here. Gonna do another apple tree over this way. And these are some raised beds I made last year. I want to do a privacy fence along here, because the main path coming into here, which you've seen on the opening video, is about 50 feet up that way. And if you're looking down here from the trail, you can kind of see what I have going on, and I'm not really okay with that. So my first task of this year is to get that privacy fence up. We've got a little bit of a barrier fence over this way to keep some people out. That needs work, but it'll do for now. And these are some of the beds I made. Cut the trees down myself, carted the soil in. There's some garlic poking up at the moment, which is pretty cool to see. This is fairly rough at the moment, but this eventually will look a lot better than it does now. But it's a start. And there's this somewhat main path that comes down. The border of the land is basically right there, and then everything to the left of me belongs to me. So this is somewhat of a main path that comes down here. Lots of deadfall, really old trees, old mature spruce trees. It's pretty cool to see. There's a larch tree there as well, a couple of those, which we call in my area juniper. Really rough path here. I can get my ATV through here, which is pretty good. Could be better, but it'd be nearly impossible without any kind of mini excavator to get all these rocks out of here. So I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Look at this guy. There's a strip of land that basically runs diagonally from one corner of my land to the other, from up there, down across here, through here, and over that way. And it's basically like a wetland that runs right through. It's always wet here, even in the driest part of the summer, which is pretty cool. Like, I got to figure out a way to utilize that to my advantage. The negative thing about that is that this land in here is fairly acidic due to the nature of the things that build the soil here. But it's not impossible to work with. And over here are some other areas that were cleared out. So I'm going to work on getting rid of all this deadfall here. I'm eventually going to get a wood chipper and chip all of this stuff up. And this will be mulch then for my beds and also pathways between my beds. And so I've got an infinite supply of dead wood for that project. All these bushes here, these are all blueberry bushes, which is great. So I'm going to try to clear out some of these trees here, probably replant them somewhere else. And you can see over here, some of these ones are a little bit yellow. They're not quite getting the nutrients they need, so they got to go. And there's one lowly birch tree here, and this has put out dozens of seedlings all in this area right here. So I'd like to encourage the growth of the birch trees there. It'd be a great area to come and collect birch sap in the spring. Have an infinite supply of that in about 20 years or so. That'd be awesome. So this path is a little bit stumpy. Some little tree stumps here from when it was cut. A lot of rocks. So it's a lot of work to get this stuff up. This is in here quite good. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. You have to dig that with a pick. I'm going to be doing it all by hand, so it's quite a task. This is the second entrance here to the land. The other one is over there where I first came in, and up among that group of trees up there. So it's a fairly big property. And eventually sometime, this is north up here, south behind me. So ideally in a garden, as far as I can tell from the research I've done, you want to have as much sunlight as possible. Kind of a south-facing garden. Doesn't really work well here because it's a north-facing slope, which is the opposite of what you would ideally have. So eventually I'd like to get some gardens down this area as well, but that's a long way down the road. But hopefully it'll happen someday. I love this area here because it reminds me, when I use my imagination, it reminds me of the scene in the Lord of the Rings where the Fellowship passed through the former kings of Gondor. I like that. It's a cool feeling. Like a natural gateway. So this is a secondary path here that goes to another person's land up that way. And we head out back to the main path this way. However, there's some downed trees here, so that's going to be a job for later, possibly later today. I'll come in, cut that off, cut the branches off, haul the tree out of the way. There's a second one here as well. So that's fun. Some deadfall there from the winter, so we'll take care of that. Here's a different view of the property. You can kind of see my chainsaw case over there. That's where we started. The main path about right there, coming down from the road. And some views of the local hills and the surrounding areas. We've got some of these big trees here. These are ready to come down. I eventually want to build a fence along here, this area right here, all down this way. But it won't be this year. I already have the privacy fence to work on, and I also had to build a secondary deterrence fence to keep people out, because I've had people here last year that got in my land, stole some stuff on me, which was pretty irritating. So I'm going to take as many precautions as I can this year. I got a fence, got some other things I don't really want to talk about, but hopefully it'll deter people. This is the main path here. I don't really need to fence this off because this stuff here is a natural fence. Very dense. I don't know if you've ever tried to walk through woods like this, but it's basically impossible. It's a lot of work, not much fun. Some of these trees here, it's not necessarily on my property. This one is, that one isn't. But that eventually is going to come down someday. It'll probably land right in the area where I'm going to make my gate. Right here. So that's my main path. So this is going to have to come down, unfortunately. I'll do my best to make a clean cut, bring it down, stack it up over here, and then the property owner, if they're even around, because they're probably not, they can take it, bring it home, leave it there, do whatever they want with it. But it's going to be my problem, unfortunately. And it's a big tree. This is my other boundary over here. My garden is down in this area. This is my weak point here. You can kind of see down here. These are my beds. It's very easy to get down here on foot, so people can just walk in here. So one of my first tasks of the year is to clear some of these trees out. The border of my land is right there. We'll see in a minute. Good fence up. Keep idiots out. Something that I don't want to deal with, and shouldn't have to. But humans are humans. This is the fence I worked on last year. And there we go. Back where we started.